In the previous episode, we saw that Leping was packing for the hot spring trip when Elizabeth suddenly called him, asking for help choosing which swimsuit suited her best. These were the swimsuits Leping had once imagined during a moment of wild creativity. Up next, Elizabeth stood firm, arms crossed, her expression showing visible frustration. "Wait a second," she said sharply. "Are you saying this outfit doesn't suit me either?" As her emotional connection with Leping deepened, she believed she could sense what he liked. Trusting her instincts, she had chosen the boldest swimsuits she could find, but judging from Leping's reaction, it seemed none of them matched his preferences. Had she made a mistake? Even though she had already sensed that her previous choices weren't working, Elizabeth refused to give up. She clenched her fists with determination. "I won't give up that easily," she told herself. She turned, holding up another swimsuit. "What about this one?" she asked, her voice full of resolve. As she slipped into it, she felt the emotional reaction intensify. The response is getting stronger," she murmured, her eyes narrowing with confidence. As Elizabeth stood in the new swimsuit, waiting for Leping's reaction, Emilia appeared. She stood stiffly in a snug navy swimsuit, clearly uncomfortable. Her ears twitched in frustration as she muttered, "Why do humans wear such tight and clingy clothes in hot springs? It's not comfortable at all." She shifted slightly, her expression a mix of annoyance and confusion, completely unfamiliar with human customs. Emilia looked toward her master and said innocently, "Back when Emilia used to bathe with Master, she just got completely naked and it was fine." Across the room, Leping froze mid-step, visibly stunned by the comment. His silence spoke volumes. Elizabeth smiled and raised a confident finger. "You're right," she said. "When soaking in a hot spring, you really shouldn't wear anything at all." She had nearly crossed the line. After all, the swimsuits she chose were meant to match Leping's preferences. But in the end, those were just superficial things. If she kept focusing on appearances, it meant she hadn't truly understood him. What Leping really liked was her, the real her. Just as Elizabeth confidently prepared to walk out with nothing on, Leping panicked and jumped in front of her, frantically holding up a blanket. "You can't go out like that," he shouted, voice urgent. "There are other guests at the hot spring inn. You can't let them see you." His face turned red as he tried to shield her with the blanket, clearly overwhelmed. The morning sun began to rise, casting a soft green glow over the peaceful hot spring inn. Sunlight filtered gently through the leaves of a tall tree, and the wooden lodge stood quietly under the early light, serene, calm, and unaware of the chaos that had just unfolded inside. As the breeze rustled the grass, Elizabeth adjusted her wide-brimmed hat with a confident smile. She said cheerfully, linking arms with Leping beside her, "It's time to set off." Emilia trotted alongside, her eyes shining with excitement as the trio stepped forward, ready to begin a new journey. Leping walked with a bright smile, eyes full of anticipation. "I can't wait," he exclaimed. Elizabeth closed her eyes with a soft smile, the brim of her sun hat casting a gentle shadow. "I'm looking forward to it too," she told him. Her crimson eyes gleamed with curiosity. "Just what kind of surprise do you plan to give me, Leping?" The little beast-eared girl, Emilia, clung excitedly to Elizabeth's arm. "Emilia's really looking forward to it too," she chirped. "Emilia can't wait to bathe in the hot springs with Master." Her tail wagged behind her, ears perked in excitement. Suddenly a faint crimson glow began to swirl around Elizabeth's hand. Arcane symbols flickered to life, dancing in the air like threads of magic. She activated forced teleportation. The ground beneath Elizabeth, Leping, and Emilia lit up with glowing crimson circles. Arcane sigils spun wildly as red beams of light erupted into the sky. The spell completed in a flash. In the blink of an eye, they vanished from the peaceful front yard of the demon realm. As the glow faded beneath their feet, Leping looked around in awe, eyes wide and brows furrowed. His eyes sparkled like golden stars. Before them stood a massive, elegant bathhouse, a towering traditional structure with steam symbols on its banner. It radiated luxury and mystery. Elizabeth glanced at it and let out a calm breath. "Nothing particularly special," she said, though a faint smirk tugged at her lips. Just then, a polite voice called out from the entrance, "Mr. Leping, Miss Elizabeth." Leping's face lit up in recognition. "Pythias," he said warmly. Pythias bowed respectfully. "After the nation returned to normal, I received an invitation from the Holy Sword Council. I was honored to help build this hot spring resort." Leping smiled. "You've all worked so hard. Thank you." Elizabeth listened silently beside him. Pythias straightened, her eyes shining. "The kindness from you both helped Aristolda recover. This is the least I could do." To see Sister Elizabeth again. It's truly wonderful. But Amelia stepped forward protectively, frowning. Don't look at my master with those weird eyes. Elizabeth, calm as ever, gave a faint smile. Can you show us the way now? She asked. Pythias nodded gracefully. Of course. From here on, I will personally guide you. She led them toward the grand entrance, where a red carpet awaited. As the group walked side by side, Amelia bounced with excitement. Leping admired the architecture, and Elizabeth walked gracefully, regal as ever. Suddenly, a figure appeared ahead, draped in shadow, with long dark hair and formal attire. Good day, you two, the figure said calmly. Leping's eyes lit up. Miss Chi-Chi? What are you doing here? Chi-Chi stepped forward confidently, flanked by uniformed staff. We're on patrol, she said. Our job is to ensure the resort and its surroundings remain safe. Leping raised his hand with a smile. Thank you for your hard work. As he waved, two staff members whispered behind him. Weren't the hero and the demon queen supposed to arrive today? Why are they mingling with random people like that? The other scoffed. I heard she's just a princess from some small southern country. Hearing this, Chi-Chi bowed deeply. Honored hero, please forgive their words. Her voice silenced everyone. The guards stiffened, realizing their mistake. Leping smiled. Looks like you've been doing really well at the Sword Saint Guild, Miss Chi-Chi. She bowed her head humbly. It's all thanks to your guidance. Elizabeth stood quietly beside him, her gaze never leaving Chi-Chi. In the distance, Blue Sword and the others watched with new expressions, no longer doubtful, but curious and shaken. Blue Sword whispered, is he really the hero from the legends? But he doesn't look like it. Those sensitive to power could now feel it. Something deep and dangerous beneath Leping's casual demeanor. Yellow Sword and Orange Sword trembled, unable to believe it. He's the one who guided Master Chi-Chi? The one who mastered the Supreme Sword? Their gazes shifted to Elizabeth. Then, that must be the Demon Queen, Elizabeth. Their doubts turned to shock. Leping waved with a cheerful grin. I remember you from the guild assembly. Elizabeth stood beside him, her silent presence enough to silence any doubt. All three swords trembled with fear. They had just disrespected the hero and the Demon Queen. Anna collapsed unconscious. Luna dropped to her knees, pale with fear. They couldn't believe what they had done. Suddenly, Leping pointed at Blue Sword, his voice sharp. Startled and confused, Blue Sword took a step back, sweating nervously. Had he offended the hero? Leping casually slung his arm around Blue Sword's shoulder and smiled brightly. Miss Chi-Chi, I hope you've been learning properly from this guy. His swordless style is seriously amazing. Blue Sword froze, drenched in cold sweat, his expression full of disbelief. Learning from me? He couldn't process what was happening. Praised by the legendary hero, it felt more like a dream or a nightmare he hadn't woken up from. Miss Chi-Chi looked confused and flustered. She pointed at herself. Wait, is the hero suggesting I should learn swordsmanship from Qing? She glanced at Qing, even more puzzled. But Qing's sword techniques, weren't they all taught by me? Leping smirked. Didn't you ask me before about the swordless form of the supreme sword style? The realization hit her like a wave. Her own students' techniques had been reinterpreted by someone far beyond her understanding. Leping scratched his chin thoughtfully. Yeah, I just watched his movements and figured it out by referencing them. Then, with a casual shrug, he added, but I don't use magic, so I can't really condense that kind of sword aura. That's all. Despite how effortlessly he spoke, everyone around him looked stunned. What he called casual self-study was something others couldn't grasp even after years of training. Despite the earlier intimidation, the moment now looked like a wholesome, awkward circle of learning. The swordsman was dumbfounded, the instructor puzzled, and Leping, completely carefree, stood smiling in the middle. Leping beamed and said warmly, as the saying goes, when three walk together, there's always something I can learn from, and I really did pick up a lot from you all. He spoke sincerely, making it clear that, even as the hero, he still saw everyone around him as teachers. Blue Sword flailed in panic, waving his hands as he stammered, I'm not worthy. He must be mistaken. I could never possibly... He turned to Chi-Chi next, growing more frantic. Lady Chi-Chi, he must be joking. How could he possibly mean that? He was overwhelmed, caught between the hero's admiration and sudden expectations from everyone around. Before he could finish, Chi-Chi calmly raised her hand to stop him. That's enough, Qing, she said firmly. She wasn't in the mood for flattery or self-deprecation. She simply accepted the moment with quiet resolve. Chi-Chi lowered her gaze, her voice calm but full of self-reflection. The hero's words are clear. I just lack the skill to truly comprehend them. As autumn leaves drifted by, her quiet admission revealed not pride, but humility. Despite her role as a teacher, she realized she still had much to learn. For the first time, she understood that one must not be confined by forms and techniques. One must blend into nature and feel it from within. But that wasn't all. Chi-Chi walked forward among the other warriors, her expression calmer, wiser. She had come to understand that true strength wasn't about standing above others. It was about recognizing the strength within everyone, no matter their rank or title. The hero's humble words echoed in her heart. Among 3 people, one can always be my teacher. From now on, she would look at the world not with pride, but with open eyes, ready to learn. As golden sunlight fell softly across Chi-Chi's face, her eyes widened with clarity. Now she understood why Leping had urged her to return to the Holy Sword Association and start over. It wasn't punishment. It was a gift, a chance to relearn what truly mattered. Suddenly, a blinding light surged around Chi-Chi. Her body gently lifted into the air, glowing like a divine figure. Leping and Blue Sword watched in awe. "Lady Gigi," someone murmured in disbelief. "She's floating again!" Leping exclaimed. Then came the realization. Gigi wasn't just having an epiphany. She was breaking through. Golden light radiated from Chi-Chi as her figure hovered in midair, dignified and serene. The air trembled. The earth seemed to pause. With a brilliant surge of power, she had done it. Chi-Chi had broken through to a new realm, now standing at the level of a 5-star demon king. Blue Sword stared in disbelief, struggling to make sense of what he had just seen. With only a few words, Leping had helped Chi-Chi ascend to a rank that many could only dream of. He reflected on all that Leping had done, passing down cards of authority, guiding even elite warriors to relearn the basics, and saving entire kingdoms. And yet, the same hero had looked him in the eye and said, "I learned from you." His eyes welled up. How can someone so great be this humble? Overcome with emotion, Qing's legs gave out. He dropped to one knee, not from exhaustion, but from reverence. "Even the greatest man I've ever known still seeks to learn from others," he whispered, his voice trembling. "And I once thought I had nothing to offer." Seeing him like that, Leping rushed to his side. "Are you okay?" he asked, concerned. Tears streamed down Qing's face, shimmering with the light of realization. "Thank you, Lord Leping. I'm beginning to understand," he whispered. As his spirit surged with insight, power began to gather around him too. He, too, was breaking through. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, dressed in casual summer clothes and a wide straw hat, glanced back at Leping with her usual indifference. "Leping, quit dawdling," she said flatly. Elizabeth narrowed her crimson eyes in thought. Had these blessings arrived so easily because their strength still wasn't enough to withstand what lay within the sea of darkness? And was Wenquan's presence here not a coincidence, but a contingency? Meanwhile, Chi-Chi hovered gracefully, glowing with newfound power. She looked down at Leping and said, "I'll take care of everything outside. You enjoy your hot spring in peace." Leping nodded gratefully and waved to her. "Thanks for the hard work, Miss Gigi." Turning to leave, he smiled faintly and thought, it's better not to disturb their cultivation for now. As golden sunlight bathed the mountains in the distance, Leping jogged to catch up with the others. Elizabeth stood at the front, her red hair and white dress fluttering in the breeze, with the others walking close behind. "Coming, coming," he called out cheerfully, waving. As the group approached the hot spring doors, Mr. Boss and Elif stood waiting beside the Dwarf King. "Welcome, Elizabeth and Leping," they greeted. Elizabeth tipped her wide-brimmed hat slightly, while Leping waved with a bright grin. He said casually, "Uncle Boss, Elif, and Your Highness the Dwarf King." Leping gazed around the grand hall, eyes full of sincere admiration. Golden light shimmered behind him as he addressed the Beastman King and his companions. "Thank you all for the effort you put into building this hot spring and inn." His eyes widened even more as he took in the luxurious surroundings. His jaw dropped slightly. "Whoa, this is way too extravagant," he blurted. The sky above shimmered with a warm golden hue, casting a gentle glow over a dreamlike landscape. Dozens of floating islands, adorned with blooming cherry blossoms and elegant pavilions, hovered in the air. Crystal-clear streams cascaded like silken jade from above. Ornate chandeliers floated beside them, glowing softly, as if the heavens were hosting a grand celebration. Bridges arched gracefully through the skies, connecting drifting isles in a dance of elegance. It was a mythical sanctuary, suspended between clouds and light, a place born from fantasy. Leping's eyes sparkled with childlike wonder as he pointed toward the floating islands. "Elizabeth, look!" he exclaimed. "It's way bigger on the inside." Elizabeth, unimpressed, shrugged. "There's nothing special about that. just a basic low-tier spatial magic formation. Even in a place of marvels, it seemed Elizabeth had seen far grander. But Leping couldn't stop staring in amazement. He pointed excitedly at a stream of water flowing in reverse, rising from the lake to one of the floating islands. "It's magic," he said in awe. "Even that upside-down water pillar is possible because of magic." His voice was full of wonder, while behind him the Dwarf King watched with a calm expression.